2468. Who do we appreciate? Hello, KSU Owls. My name is Tasia Robinson, and I am a senior double majoring in nursing and human services. I am on the 2021-2022 homecoming court, and I would love your vote to be your homecoming queen. Throughout the week, I will be hosting multiple events on the Kennesaw and Marietta campus. For more updates on the week's events I have lined up, then please follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Tayrob, TAYE_ROB. I can't wait to meet you. Let's bring it on.
Good afternoon, KSU. My name is Rio White, and I'm joined in the booth by Henry Higuita once again for the KSU Owl Hour Sports Radio Talk Show. First of all, here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Good luck with that HOCO bid. But today we're going to talk a lot about sports once again. We are waiting for our good friend Devon Delarm to get to the booth. We'll be joined by him shortly. Today is Thursday, October the 14th, and it is mid-October MLB playoff season time. So we are going to talk a little bit about the Braves and their trip to the NLCS, and as well as some of the other baseball teams playing. Tonight they have the big Giants-Dodgers Game 5. That's going to be really, really fun. But we're going to start out by talking about KSU and some of the sports going on there. First of all, let us talk about the football team and their big win on the road against Hampton in Virginia. So 34-15 was the final score there. Once again, another great performance by Xavier Shepard, who led the way in that rushing attack again. 179 net yards for him, and another impressive performance by the young man who also, is the quarterback and contributed both through the air and on the ground. 109 passing yards as well there. The Owls are now 4-1 on the season. They are continuing to impress a lot of people. They ranked Jacksonville State the week before at home, and then they went on the road and beat Hampton pretty handily. Not a lot of issues there dealing with Hampton. And so in that game, they finished the day with a total of 339 rushing yards for the whole team. Another big collaborative effort. 63 yards on the ground by Ian Cousin, and another 26 by Nykeem Farrow and 23 by Cal Glover. And so this upcoming week is going to be a big, big game, the homecoming game, and what should be a real fall game against North Carolina A&T State, the Agricultural and Technical College of North Carolina. And so that's going to be an exciting game, not only because it'll be a chance for a fourth consecutive win for KSU, but also because there's going to be a cold front coming in, according to our local meteorologists. So it should be an actual fall environment, that game. And speaking of Mr. Delarm, welcome to the booth, Devon.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
All right, awesome. Speaking of Devon, we're going to talk about more NFL shenanigans in the past week today. It's been another really exciting week in the NFL, and a lot of stuff to talk about there as well. But again, next week, this upcoming Saturday, will be the homecoming game against North Carolina A&T. It's going to be 5 o'clock, not necessarily under the lights at first, but it probably will be at the end. But it's going to be really exciting. We'll see if, again, the football team can get their fourth consecutive win of the season and really put their a foothold, that is, on the Big South Conference. Outside of that, the tennis team, the women's tennis team, that is, had a pretty successful week last week. A lot of wins. Valentina Tadia with a 4-6, 6-4, 6-0 win in the Georgia Southern Fall shootout last week on the 10th of October. Suman Kim with 2 wins in that tournament, and Sofia Pinedo and Amalika Godaparthi with 2 wins on their own as well. And speaking of that team, they are going to play 4 players will be at a regional championship that will actually start tonight and go through Monday the 18th. It's going to be kind of a long 5-day tournament. But Taylor Dean, Ji-Yoon Lee, Valentina Tadia, and Kat Music will be the participants from KSU. So good luck to them tonight, and if they, of course, advance on to the subsequent days as well. The soccer team with their first draw of the season. We mentioned before that college soccer does have an interesting overtime rule, which was implemented, that is, against Central Arkansas. But it also looks like that draws are still a possibility. So I'm still learning about college soccer rules. Evidently they did draw against Jacksonville this past week. But before that, they actually had a big road win against Florida Gulf Coast, 2-1. So let's look at the results from there and who scored on that one. Once again, not surprising, the winning goal by Ebony Clark, her 5th goal of the season. She's really starting to come along as very vital to the team, not just from scoring, but also she has been involved in a lot of build-up to the scoring as well previously. But the Eagles actually scored first before the half in the 43rd minute, led 1-0, and then in the 89th minute, Kendall Higgs with a goal, and then it looks like in that extra time period, 108th minute, Ebony Clark with that game-winning goal. So left it late on, but good to see another victory. And so now we're going to look at this draw. Let's see how these draws come about here. And it looks like what they end up doing is playing 2 extra time periods, even in this regular season match. Evidently, of course, for the American audience, they use the overtime, but it looks like in this added extra time periods, they play probably what is the standard 2 15-minute periods. And because neither of those resulted in goals, the game ended in a draw, which leads me to question why they do the overtime periods. If they're not going to go to penalty shootouts after extra time, why have the extra time and cause more exhaustion for these players? It's kind of an interesting rule.
I was wondering the exact same thing.
Yeah, what do you think?
Why would you not? Because it's very unusual. I mean, and it's not like even a tournament match, because if it were like just like the final playoff or tournament or something like that, then you would have that, okay, 2 extra times and you go to penalties. But it's just weird. Like normally you don't have that in like professional soccer and stuff. I mean, I know college soccer's got to be different and stuff, but it's just I think kind of awkward that you'd go to extra time if it's not a tournament match or anything. This doesn't normally happen in soccer. Ties are possible. It's not like other sports where you go on until someone eventually wins.
Right. It's I wonder it's because other American sports do have overtime, like that. Some for whatever reason they felt like it was necessary to create the rule, but
then why not go to penalties?
You are really risking injury and fatigue if you're going to force 2 more overtimes and then just have a draw possible at the end.
There's no point really.
So that is
the
very
whole point of overtime is to break the tie, and then if not, then penalties are the emergency, but the break glass just in case.
All right. So and then the volleyball team had a couple of very interesting results last week as well. They had a loss against the rival Florida Gulf Coast in the volleyball world. KSU and FGCU have been going back and forth for several years now as sort of the top dogs in the ASUN conference, but looks like the Eagles got the better of the Owls last Friday with a 3-0 set victory. However, still playing away from home, the Owls picked it back up against Stetson, 3-2, a tight victory. But again, KSU has been good in those tight situations. They have been able to, end up as the winner. So they are 9-8 still this season, still looking for a good streak, but a good victory against a university with one of the most interesting nicknames of any college, the Hatters. They literally are hats, Stetson hats. So that's I'll leave it at that. I have nothing more to say about the Hatters.
Hey, they got style.
They got style. So today we are going to talk a lot about the U.S. men's national team did not have a result in their favor last week, but any thoughts about that, Henry?
Yeah, I mean they went 2-1 this weekend, but I'm gonna start real quickly with some Atlanta United stuff. They didn't play this weekend. They didn't play since our last show. Their next game will be at Toronto on Saturday at 7:30. And it's a little bit of exciting news. George Bello was named the number 6 U22 player in MLS. It's basically sort of a little initiative they do with Body Armor to sort of promote the youth talent in the league. Number one is, I guess they had it coming, is Ricardo Pepe from Dallas. He's a rising talent. He's even gone with the U.S. men's national team, which, by the way, more on that in a sec. But first, let's get through with some of the Atlanta United stuff. Just because this U.S. men's national team just played last night, George Bello might play against Toronto because he didn't play in this last game against Costa Rica. Robinson might not because he did, and Hernandez very likely will not play because he's off with the Venezuelan national team, which I think play tonight. So yeah, very short time. So it's highly unlikely that he's going to play. Other stuff, obviously, the big worry was with Joseph Martinez, who we hadn't heard any updates on. Only that after the Montreal game, he came off in the first half because he was sort of injured. He wasn't feeling well. So he got an MRI on Monday. It turns out he has a hamstring strain. And we're not sure exactly how bad it is, but the news that we do have is that Joseph was not training with the team on Tuesday. So that probably means he's not likely to play. He's probably not going to play. We don't know yet. I guess we'll find out when lineups come out or if we get any other news from the team. But it's very likely that Joseph will not play. However, some people did come off the injury list. Amar Sadik, Kubo Torres, Jurgen Damm, and Franco Ibarra are back. Very important, Sadik and Ibarra. They were really Atlanta United is missing some people in the midfield because right now the only people there are Santiago Sosa and I think was it Alan Franco? Hold on. Yeah, it's Santi Sosa and Rossetto. Sorry, not Alan Franco. But so having those people back, having more options, will hopefully help them out. We'll see. Toronto is going to have some significant absences. No Jefferson Soteldo. He's off with the Venezuelan national team. He's a big threat. He was causing a lot of problems when Toronto came to Atlanta. No Osorio, Lawrence, or Larea. So they are missing some of their key players, and hopefully Atlanta can capitalize. Atlanta's not out of it. Here's the thing. It is still a very, very close playoff race. It is so interesting because the teams are just points away from each other. So here's how it could go down. If Atlanta wins this next match, wins against Toronto, which hopefully they do because Toronto hasn't been doing so hot and some absences might help them out, Atlanta could get itself into fourth place with some results going in their favor. Now, they haven't always had the best of luck with results going their way, but it might happen. Cincinnati beating Orlando, unlikely, but if it happens, great. Nashville beating DC, I could totally see that happening. Nashville is very solid. Red Bulls beating New York, they've done it twice, so they can totally do it again. And as long as Montreal don't win against Philadelphia, that can mean Philadelphia winning or a tie, then Atlanta could, go up some more there. The reason for this is because most of those teams are 1.1 to 3 points ahead of Atlanta. So anything just a win would put them would move them up in the standings significantly, and that's very important. We are winding down the last few games of the season, so obviously
I'm not sure I understand.
Getting Siri decided to give her input there. Sorry about that.
It happens.
But yeah, so obviously climbing the standings is important. You want to be as high as possible. We've mentioned this before because obviously you want to play as many games at home as you can during the playoffs. It's a significant advantage. And with Atlanta's away track record, it's probably not a good thing for them to go on the road for too long. So, again, Atlanta will face Toronto Saturday at 7:30. It'll be exciting. and we'll see what happens. Also, we'll see if Marcelino Moreno is back. Let's see if he was away at the last game because of a personal issue. Hopefully he'll be back because he's a really great presence in Atlanta's attack. Some other MLS news: Nashville, Philadelphia, and Orlando very, very close to playoff spots in the East. They're rising. Nashville is starting to sort of pull away from the pack, and Philadelphia and Orlando have found some new momentum going into things. And we'll see how that goes this week. Cincinnati has been eliminated from the playoffs. They mathematically cannot make it anymore. They have 20 points in 20 games, which is not 28 games, which is not good. That is very not good. They're the first team to be eliminated from playoff contention. On the other side, Seattle has clinched a playoff spot in the West.
Let's go Sounders!
Yep, they are they are number one in the West right now. Let's see if they can keep it up. They can't be declared number one quite yet because, unlike New England, they haven't pulled that much distance. They haven't put that much distance between them and the other teams. So we'll see how it goes. Now let's go to the big news, as Rio hinted to earlier. The U.S. men's national team, they played 3 games over the course of this week between yesterday and last Thursday. So the first one on last Thursday was a 2-0 win against Jamaica. It was a very good game. Matt Turner was in the goal, keeping just a lot of balls from going in. He kept that solid. He is a really good goalkeeper, and that was he definitely contributed to the win there. The goals both of them came from Ricardo Pepe. He got a brace actually. In the 48th minute, he received a header from an excellent ball from Serginho Dest. He's the U.S. national team player who's playing for Barcelona actually. So it's good to see some of that. And then in the 62nd minute, Pepe received the ball from I keep wanting to say Paxton Aronson, but Paxton Aronson's his little brother who plays with Philadelphia, Brendan Aronson. He got Aronson put in a really, really good pass to him, and then it was basically just him and the keeper. He took a shot, went in, goal, and it was a really good play. It's good to see them combining. It's good to see them working together really well. This is a squad that really works well together, so it's good to see that, and we'll see how they do. Other things, Sardes missed 2 very close shots. That game could have easily been 6-0, 5-0, something like that, just because the U.S. was dominant and they just kept going at it, attacking. They were just, like I said, Sardes missed 2 very close ones. The first one was just similar to Ricardo Pepe's second goal, where he received a throw ball that just landed at his feet. He took a shot, and then it did not go in. And, man, it was close. And then the other one, he actually, I think it was a header, or it was a header that it almost got past the goalkeeper, which, by the way, Jamaica's goalkeeper is Andre Blake. He plays with Philadelphia Union. It almost got past the goalkeeper. It was just bouncing in slowly, and then one of the Jamaica players was able to clear it off the line. It was so close to going in. But yeah, bad luck from Zardes there. But after that game, that left Ricardo Pepe at 3 goals and 2 U.S. men's national team appearances, which is spectacular. Such a young player, such talent. It's no wonder he got named as the number 1 U22 player in the MLS. Anyway, some not so good news was the loss that the national team faced against Panama on Sunday. It was a 1-0 loss. And really, it was a lot of lineup changes. Gregor Berhalter put up a very different lineup that consisted mostly of MLS players. And while, yes, the normal lineup consists of the normal standard starting lineup consists of several U.S. men's MLS players. It just wasn't at the scale that it was in this game. They played very poorly. Panama was very dominant in the first half and for much of the second half. The lone goal was Sorry, Sardes, for your bad luck, but it was an own goal from Giassi Sardes in the 54th minute. So, it was not a fun sight to see if you're a fan of the U.S. men's national team. But they came back with a 2-1 win over Costa Rica last night. That was very exciting to watch. It was very close, a very, very dynamic game. So the interesting thing, though, Zach Steffen started in the goal. And he was sort of the starting goalkeeper way back when. Well, not way back when, but just like before his injury that kept him from the goal. That's why Matt Turner came in to replace him. But the thing is, Steffen is the reason people didn't really like that much was because Zach Steffen has been out of rhythm. He hasn't played in a while. He's just coming back from his injury, and people were happy with Matt Turner because he'd been keeping the goal solid for the past two games, not the past two, for the past several games that the national team has played. He's a very talented goalkeeper, and it was sort of the interesting thing is I was watching the game on TUDN, and they actually had a poll where fans could like scan a QR code and vote and say who should be the starting goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team, and the overwhelming majority said Matt Turner, and he's done a great job. I think he deserves it because he, some of those games, for example, against Panama, it could have easily been 3-0 against us, 4-0 against us, just because Panama was laying in shot after shot. They were getting chances, and some of these saves from Turner were just amazing. He's a very talented goalkeeper, and it's good to have him on the team. But anyway, what happened in that game against Costa Rica? Costa Rica scored in literally the very first minute of the match. So not a very fun thing to see. But then the U.S. team struck back with Serginho Dest coming in with what a shot he made, actually. He cut in, and then he put that left-footed shot right into the upper 90. There was no way any goalkeeper could reach it, not even arguably the best goalkeeper in the world, Keylor Navas, who was the Costa Rican goalkeeper for the first half there. Then Tim Weah actually put the U.S. ahead with another just amazing rocket shot, and it got past the Costa Rican keeper, and it was sort of a replay of Giassi Sardes' almost goal against Jamaica, where he struck it. It was really hard, and then the keeper kind of tried to stop it, but you obviously, when it's going so fast, you can't control it. So it hits the keeper, it goes past him, starts sort of bouncing slowly into the goal, and fortunately it did go in, and it gave the U.S. men's national team gave him the edge. And it was a very exciting match, and then a very important win for the national team, because we are reaching the midway point of the octagonal. So it's important to really get as many points as you can, put as much distance as you can between the other teams. After that game last night, the U.S. stood in second place with 11 and is only 3 points behind Mexico, which is it's a good place to be. Canada is third with 10, so it's a very, very close race. And the next match for the U.S. men's national team will be against Mexico on November 12th. And then the game after that, the last one of this year, will be November 16th against Jamaica, but this time in Jamaica. So a lot of good stuff coming up for the U.S. team. They're in a good spot, and hopefully they can be in those top three that are going to qualify. Also, something worth mentioning, Canada is doing surprisingly well. We mentioned they are in third place with 10 points. They are very much in the running to go to Qatar and be one of the three, potentially four CONCACAF teams there. Interesting fact, Canada has not qualified to a World Cup since 1986. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can make it, break that streak after like 40 years of not going to World Cups. They have a really good squad, Alphonso Davies and a lot of other people there. So great coach, and we'll see how it goes. And finally, in some other international news, Germany and Denmark are the very first nations to officially qualify to the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Germany beat North Macedonia, and Denmark beat Austria. That put them at the top of their respective groups. So they have earned their spot and will be in Qatar in the running to be the next world champion. And that's all from the soccer world.
Alrighty. Well, let's move on to the NFL. And we had some really exciting scores last week. The big one being the Monday night comeback for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens against the Colts. A game which saw a very, very small chance for the Ravens to come out on top. And they did in overtime in Lamar Jackson fashion. So, Devon, any thoughts on that game or some of the other games from Sunday?
Well, I'll tell you what, I had Lamar Jackson in fantasy, and I was a little worried in the first quarter. I was like, I need you to put up a little more than 10 points right now. And then I check back later that night, and I see he has 40 points, and I go, that's my boy. That's what I wanted to see. And that game was just all over the place. The Colts put up a good fight, but in the end, the Ravens did deserve that win.
Absolutely, yeah. And there were some other big results as well. One of the more surprising ones was the Browns loss to the Chargers. That was quite the game, 47-42. A really exciting game, but again, the Browns, who I think defensively will be definitely disappointed not to do a better job because the offense did just fine, obviously 42 points, but that will be a big challenge for them going forward if they want to reestablish themselves as a playoff power in the future. Another really, really impressive game that involved some injuries. The Packers-Bengals overtime game with Joe Burrow with one of the gutsiest performances of the season. Even though it was in a losing fashion in the end, continued to play with an injury and really played well mano-a-mano with Aaron Rodgers. And they did have a little bit of communication at the end of the game. They shook hands, and Aaron Rodgers was talking to him a bit. So that's a really interesting, I think, one of those symbolic moments of sort of passing the torch to that next generation. But I think even in that losing effort, I think we saw a lot from Joe Burrow that could say a lot about what he's able to do in the future for that franchise that hasn't really had a lot of success, in a long time. They did have multiple first-round playoff exits consecutively for a while, but it looks like they have somebody who can potentially get them to that next level sometime in the future. Additionally, a very tight game between the Eagles and Panthers, and that one was very interesting for a lot of reasons. But I think the Panthers were hoping to get a fourth win of the year right there. I really do think that between Jalen Hurts and some of the other players on that Eagles team, a little bit of a surprise victory. Not to say that the Eagles don't have the talent to win, but the Panthers are a team looking to become top of their division and really, maybe challenging the Buccaneers. But 3-2, now they're going to really have to get the ball rolling because they were looking for a big fourth win. I think that is a bit of an upset right there. But the Buccaneers did their job, of course, 45-17 against the Dolphins. Not too surprising there. And I think that was the kind of win that really once again cements the Buccaneers, as that strong team in the NFC South. I think there were teams, of course, the Saints were looking to maybe challenge as well with the talent that they have, as well as the Panthers. Of course, only 5 games into the season, so we'll have to see. But for both, especially for the Panthers, it was that chance to really maybe take that top spot. But that's 2 straight losses for the Panthers, so they're going to really have to, if they want to challenge for the top of that division, they're really going to have to get something going. Let's see. Any other observations from you, Devon, about last week?
Yeah, I think it was just overall just a really interesting week. I know there were a lot of injuries on a lot of teams with a lot of good players that we just weren't expecting to see injuries from. You see injuries from people like Russell Wilson. And now it's like Geno Smith's time to step up to the plate and really take on a lot of tough matches. I mean, he played against the Rams. He put up a really good fight. He was able to fit in some tight spots, but with Russell Wilson being out, he's going to miss I want to say it was a 140 game start streak, and that's gonna be something hard for them to see. I know Juju Smith-Schuster is out for the rest of the year. That's another big loss for the Steelers as they kind of continue in this downward spiral of disaster after disaster. Again, with Joe Burrow playing through that throat concussion, it was very impressive, and it really showed who he was as a player and who he was as a person. I think that really kind of gave him more to kind of look forward to in the future. And Kadarius Toney ejected from the game after throwing a punch at the Cowboys safety. It was just another big event to happen, and you're just like, where's the professionalism in this sport now?
Yeah, that was a little disappointing.
Yeah, so again, another big week with lots of interesting turns and twists, and you never know what's going to happen in the NFL these days, and I think that's another thing that's just so great about it.
Yeah, I think one result that really we're once again slowly seeing the Cowboys start to try to market themselves as the big team this year. Now, the Cowboys, their brand is always trying to prop themselves up even through those mediocre years, but a big win, a statement win against not a great Giants team, but 44-20. We're seeing them with a 4-1 record, and anytime the Cowboys, have a strong start to the season, they start to hear them try to say, "Oh, the America's team is back." So we'll have to see if this actually happens this year. But it was a really solid performance from Prescott and Elliott, as we would expect. But yeah, that's going to be a division where, hey, the Cowboys, find themselves on top and might end up finding themselves as the team to make some sort of a playoff run. Of course, the NFC is very strong, so who knows what the playoffs are going to be like. It's already been a pretty crazy season, so the playoffs are kind of unpredictable at this point. I think another big game. The Bills are looking really, really, really strong, beating up on the Chiefs 38-20. I think that should really tell the rest of the AFC that, hey, the Bills are going to make yet another deep playoff run, and they're really building a consistency that I think we saw flashes of a few years back in 16 and 17, but now they're really going to become a year in, year out competitive team that's going to make playoff runs, and which leads to one of the more interesting games that's going to happen. I think next week is going to be Bills-Titans on Monday night. So that'll be curious because the Titans have been up and down this year. We've seen their flashes of brilliance, but also some really bizarre they lost to a really good Cardinals team, a Cardinals team that really wanted to, put themselves as one of the strongest teams in the NFL.
For sure, still undefeated team.
Still undefeated. The Arizona Cardinals, I think, really are a very complete team. They beat a very good Rams team by 17 the week before.
For sure, and I think when you discuss rebuilds and we talk about team building and we talk about how a team is maybe just in a rebuild phase, I think the Cardinals are a perfect example of that because they have been in this rebuild phase for a few years now, and they have been kind of on the up and coming. And last year we thought it might be the Cardinals' year, and then we started thinking maybe Cliff Kingsbury isn't their coach. But now we're starting to see this Cardinals team really be put together. We see them have a really even defense as well as a really even offense. We know that they can put up points on the offense, and we know that they can stop points on the defense. And I think that's maybe the team, if I were a GM, I'd be looking for it and I'd be looking at if I was in a rebuild phase.
Yeah, it's really impressive what they've done. And now, not only are they going to be taken seriously, but they're going to really continue to put pressure on the rest of that division. Say, hey, now you have to come to our level, which is what strong teams do. So that'll be really, really interesting. But now let's move on to one of the most exciting playoff games of any sport in recent memory for this city. The Braves, Game 4 against the Brewers. Freddie Freeman, home run in the bottom of the 8th inning. That's just about the way that you have to script a dramatic story. With the Braves, of course, a lot of things have gone against them in that game, but Freddie Freeman, who has been the face of this franchise for years and is truly a true leader and as well as an excellent baseball player, it had to be him who made that home run to get the Braves into the NLCS. In a game where the umpires had made suspicious decisions, not just against the Braves, but just in general. Just a very strangely umpired game. a game with exactly the amount of drama that you expect a Braves game to have, except the Braves, in this occasion, came out on top. And now we'll be facing either the Giants or Dodgers, who play what will be a very, very exciting game tonight in Game 5 of the other NLDS series. And I think that's going to be a really, really exciting game between San Francisco and LA. Of course, one of the most interesting notes of this is that the Giants, who, of course, and the Dodgers, who both previously to being in California were New York teams, being the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants, previously have been rivals through both of those cities for all this time, yet this is the first time, and despite being in the same division, the first time they've actually faced each other in the playoffs, even though in many times both teams have been good at the same times, in the 90s, for instance, but in the late 80s into the 90s, that is, and in the 2010s, with the Giants having made and won 3 World Series and the Dodgers having been perennial playoff teams, yet they were on the opposite side of brackets and so forth. So this Game 5, I think, is going to be one of the most intense baseball playoff games in a long time. And so for the Braves, a team which is in a little bit of an unusual position, in my opinion, because most Braves teams in the past, whether it was in the late 90s and 2000s or more recently, have been excellent during the regular season and then just have issues putting it together during the playoff period. Of course, not talking about the World Series winning Braves or those teams right around that time, but later than that. But I believe, and I saw this from a source, that this will be the first NLCS with games in Atlanta since '99, which says something because the Braves had continued to make the playoffs much after that, but would lose out in the first round in the divisional series, and in more recent years as well. So this is going to be, or last season when they made the NLCS, it was at I believe a neutral location because of COVID. But this is going to be big for the city, and I think for the Braves, what's unusual about this team is that they had a lot more struggle during the regular season than the division-winning Braves of the past. So I knew that was coming. I knew I was going to cough eventually. But the Braves, I think, are going to have a really, really interesting series against either the Giants or the Dodgers, who themselves are very different. The Giants being a team where a lot of middle to older age players are having the season of their careers. The Dodgers just have the biggest payroll, I believe, in the MLB with their star players. So either way, the Braves are going to be underdogs. But for the Braves, it's about believing that they can beat one of these teams. And of course, over a 7-game span, anything can happen. So it's going to be really interesting to see that. And with that, I'd like to pass it to either Devon or Henry. If y'all have anything else you want to talk about, I'll have to see if I do. But is there anything else y'all would like to talk about in the next 15 minutes or so?
Do you want to go first?
Dude, it's all you, man. Go for it.
All right. I just wanted to mention some the upcoming European Premier League and the English Premier League and some Champions League matches. So let's start with the Premier League. On Saturday, we have Watford versus Liverpool, Southampton versus Leeds, Norwich City versus Brighton, Aston Villa versus Wolves, Leicester City Man U. That is an interesting game. See how that goes. Man City Burnley, Brentford Chelsea, Everton West Ham. That's also a good one.
It'll be exciting. Very offensive.
Here's one for you, Rio. Newcastle Tottenham.
Now that will be interesting because according to my Newcastle sources, they have not decided to, they as in the owners of the team, the new owners, have not sacked Steve Bruce, which I think most people expected because it just happened. But I think what's interesting is they moved his pre-match press conference from the normal, I believe it's usually 2 days before the game, so it would have been today, but it's actually going to be Friday or something like that. And it's going to be interesting to see how he faces the media in a time when there's a lot of speculation about his job and whether or not he's about to get sacked, but he will be the manager during that game, and we will have to see what the reaction is from the players and the crowd.
Yeah, well, they very well could get sacked. I don't know if you've heard the rumor. I think I talked to you about this. about the Leicester City head coach. They were
Right.
talking about him possibly going to Newcastle. They'd sort of, I guess, made an offer to him or something, and then he basically turned them down, saying, "No, I'm not interested.
Right.
I want to go to Man City," is what sources were
Yeah.
saying that he'd like to do. So he said he's holding on to Leicester until Pep Guardiola leaves Man City.
Is that sentence? Is Pep? Does he already made that decision? Because I knew
I don't know
it's
about
really
that.
rumors at this point. But if he's saying that, which I don't blame Brendan Rodgers for not wanting to go to Newcastle right now, because it's kind of a circus anyway. And Leicester's doing really well. They have better players and they've won an FA Cup. So, but yeah, if he's saying he's waiting for that job, then I guess Pep is getting to a point where he's just kind of seeing the end of the road at Man City, which every manager gets to that point, with the exception of Wenger and Sir Alex and that kind of thing, where it goes on forever. But I think with Pep, it was never going to be a forever 10-year thing.
Definitely not.
Because he's different and Man City's different. It's just a whole different thing. But maybe that will happen. That will be curious to see Brendan Rodgers at Man City, because I think Rodgers has proved he's better than I think people thought he was. I think at Liverpool he had that amazing season with Suarez and Sterling, and then kind of stagnated before Klopp got there. But he's done really well with a Leicester team that has really great group of players, and they have for a while. So yeah, that's really fascinating. Who knows with Newcastle? There's rumors of everybody at this
Definitely.
point.
And I mean, they do have new owners, so they have suddenly some
They got some
new
money,
capital
yeah.
to work with.
Yeah,
so
we'll have to see.
So we'll see. That's going to be interesting. So as the rumors start pouring in of potential players, coaches, stuff like that. Other things, I mean, if Pep does end up leaving Man City, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah, at this point he's won so much, and he's been at all, Barca, Bayern, and now Man City. So who knows? Where would he go?
France, Italy,
Yeah, who knows?
MLS. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, you never know. Ancelotti went to Everton, and that didn't really work out. And Benitez is doing a little better of a job now, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, you're right. And then the final game of the final Premier League match of this weekend will be Arsenal against Crystal Palace. Another interesting one. That'll be Monday at 3 p.m. So good stuff there. And then finally, also, we have some Champions League matches coming up. Besiktas versus Sporting. Interesting one here. Club Brugge versus Man City. That's going to be a good one. I'm going to look out for that one. That's Tuesday at 12:45. Shakhtar Donetsk against Real Madrid, which has been on a kind of slippery-ish slope, but we'll see. I mean, I don't even know at this point.
Oh, man, Real Madrid. That is just going to be fascinating. Entertaining, no matter what. No matter win or lose, that's going
At
to be an
this point, it's
entertaining
not like, oh, Real Madrid's going to play. It's just like, obviously, they're going to win. They're one of the best. No, it's kind of like, what's going to happen now? What will this lead to? What's going to, other good match, PSG against Leipzig, which is, a good match there. Atletico Madrid versus Liverpool. That one will be
really well played. I think that will be a very high quality.
It'll be
match.
tight. Yeah,
It should be. If they don't play at 110%, that'd be disappointing.
Yeah,
that match.
They've got some good talent. There's some two really, really good teams. Tuesday at 3. Then we also have Inter Milan against Sheriff. Sheriff famously beat Real Madrid.
You know what? How many people are betting that Sheriff's just going to win the Champions League at this point? Can you imagine?
You know what?
Somebody is putting the money down. Somebody from Tiraspol, someone from that unrecognized state has put down that money.
I mean, they are first in that group, ironically, so it could happen. I don't even know anymore.
I wonder how their merch is going. Do they I haven't seen any sheriff hats, but
they
somebody
show,
probably
like,
have a scarf or something.
It's like that, like those dollar store sheriff badges you get for
Yeah,
Halloween.
that's probably what I wonder if I get in trouble for impersonating a cop for wearing Sheriff Tiraspol gear.
Oh,
I don't even know.
I don't know. We also got Ajax versus Dortmund. Good one there. Porto versus Milan. Good ones. Red Bull Salzburg versus Wolfsburg. Barcelona Dynamo Kiev. Barcelona's another team that's kind of I don't really know what's happening with them. I think they've sort of I mean, obviously the problem with losing some players, key players like Messi, and also their they're broke.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help.
Kind of hard to.
It's kind of hard to
function when-
sugarcoat it. I mean,
when you're
yeah,
millions and millions of dollars.
it's not pretty. It is not pretty, and it's reflected on the pitch because it's not good.
Yeah, the product has not been great.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think they're also in the middle of a coaching search. I mean, I guess Koeman's not going to work. Lille versus Seville, that's going to be a good one. Man U versus Atalanta, not Atlanta.
It's always good to see them in there, and them. What a great story that is from Syria right now, Atalanta.
Yeah, for sure. Zenit versus Juventus, Benfica, Bayern, Chelsea, Malmo. I don't even know where that team's from.
I believe Sweden, I think.
Huh. That's interesting. And then we have Young Boys versus Villarreal. So
Villarreal. I like that team. That's a good team. That's a very strong team.
all some really good teams, all some interesting matches here. We'll see where it goes. We'll see how what goes on.
Champions League season in the fall. Very exciting time of year.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it. All right, Devon. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
I think everything is kind of wrapped up for me. It's always nice to hear about soccer, in my opinion. So love to hear that.
Absolutely. Hoping that Atlanta United can get to a solid playoff place.
For sure. I mean, it's not too far fetched. It's very close.
You just gotta find that consistency, and they gotta find a way.
They got to find a way, yeah. I mean, and they have the talent, they have the players to do so. They have a good coach. I think what they need now is just a little bit of adjustment, a little bit of time, and a little bit of work. That's just about it. They have a very favorable calendar coming up. They're going up against teams that are not in the top 5, against teams that they can, they could reasonably beat. And as long as they do that, then and they play well and all, then they could totally make it into the playoffs. It's just their road form is a little bit worrying, but we'll see about that. Also, other thing, didn't the Falcons win over the weekend?
Oh yes, I can't.
All it took was a trip to London.
All it took was a trip to London
against the Jets. What an interesting performance.
It was sad because it was close.
I mean, what?
Yeah. I wonder why it is that all the London games are like between teams that are not good. There's got to be some reason.
Yeah, like if
behind
you're
that.
trying to advertise it to another country, like another continent,
The NFL's got to be like, if they like our worst games, wait till they see our best games. It's like, I don't know.
Are they trying to get them like an ESPN Plus subscription?
I think I've lost count how many times the Jaguars have played in London. That's got to be like the most common team like who's played.
It's got to be a lot of Jag fans in London.
Yeah,
like,
they should just go ahead and move, just become the London Jaguars.
Can you imagine? I'm a Jaguar fan.
I wouldn't be upset with it. I was in Jacksonville one time, and I was like, why is there a football team here? So
you don't get the Football City vibe from Jacksonville.
I don't get a Football City vibe from Jacksonville, I gotta say.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me. I don't know. I've never even been there, and that doesn't even surprise me. But, well, I think that just about wraps it up. So for Henry Higuita and Devon Delarm, my name is Rio White. Thank you so much